You see it?
Yeah. Just keep walking this way.
You did see movement?
Yeah, I saw something walking.
There. You can hear it.
What sticky stuff. Doesn't want to come off the scissors.
Here, like I love this. Just the whole the moss, the carpet. Isn't very thick right here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about where Bigfoot disappears. You know, he runs out to the forest and like you can't find him anymore and stuff. Yeah. So what it would do, it'd go there, pull it up like this, hide underneath it, pull it back down, and all you'd see is just kind of like a lump right there.
You see it?
Yeah. Just keep walking this way. I think it's a deer. Or no, but I don't think that was a deer.
This occurred July 7th, 2024 at 8:59 a.m. Pacific Time in the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. Brent and I stepped out of the truck. We heard something move through the forest, and we readied our cameras and slowly moved into the woodline. Brent entered the forest first, and I filmed while he moved, and then I moved up in afterward. Both filming, Brent mentioned that he had seen something walking, and we moved in further, stopping to film from different viewpoints, increasing our chances of filming whatever it may have been. Keep that camera right on. Movement was heard again, but very faint and further off. At approximately 9:06 a.m., I checked the wind direction using a lighter and suggested Brent return to the main road to view its long straightaway. And I continued further into the forest in the hopes that whatever this was would want to naturally seek our scent in the air movement and exit opposite of our intended direction. It was worth a shot. While pushing out deeper into the forest, I stumbled upon an unfamiliar collection of hair-like substance setting atop a carpet of moss. And I filmed this apparent scat skid, which appeared to be some sort of organic material with dark black hairs all over the top and within. I decided to collect a sample and get back to pushing this unknown mammal through the woods, in the hopes that Brent would film it crossing that dirt road. So I grabbed a long evergreen stick and leaving one end untouched, away from human contamination, I pressed the stick to the ground, snapping one end off and used it to twirl over the top of the surface of this substance to collect as much material as I could. The hair-like substance was strong and flexible. It twirled around the stick easily, almost sticking to itself, and that caught my attention, the stickiness. What animal, or a reason to have, sticky fur? Excuse me.
Yeah.
What animal has, or a reason to have, sticky fur? I completed the drive, or pushing of this unknown mammal through the woods, came back out onto the dirt road, yelled down to Brent to let him know that I had found something.
What's that?
We looked at it, talked a
Is that
bit,
what that's called?
and I placed the sample into a temporary evidence bag. We continued on completing the task, which was to go back to where I had camped the first night and try to find the bear spray that Trackway and I had possibly accidentally kicked out of the truck the night before while seeking wildlife late that night. I was having a tough time staying awake, and Trackway had to drive us back, and I couldn't keep my eyes open any longer, so it made sense that I could have kicked that bear spray off the floorboard of the truck out onto the ground. Well, Brent and I hopped back in the truck and talked about investigating Sasquatch Bigfoot while driving up to the end of the road where Brent showed me a mountain creek and explained how no motorized vehicles could venture any further and that how dangerous it was for a man to explore out past this creek due to the land and rock slides, extreme landscapes, and wildlife that calls this place home. I didn't doubt Brent's descriptions of the dangers of this vast untamed forest, for I had seen areas in these mountains having huge trees toppled over each other in a manner that could cause a deep hole covered with a blanket of moss, where a man could step and fall through to the ground being 12 foot below. Broken legs and now dinner for the predators. Very similar to walking on early fall or late spring ice, you'd be wise to carry a sturdy 6-foot or 8-foot walking pole that, when held horizontally, may make the difference between life or death.
Yeah, it's probably moved on off, and
so we traveled back to the base camp
where we
and
can hear
showed
it.
Jesse and Trackway what we had found, and it was time to properly package up the sample. We dropped the tailgate and pulled out the DNA collection kit, which housed sterilized equipment. I decided to break up the samples into 4 separate. 2 would be placed into the sample tubes dry, 2 placed into the sample tubes with lysis buffer for prolonged stabilization of the sample.
Trying to tell which way the wind's blowing. So the wind seems
if in the event these samples were deemed worthy of further DNA testing,
that animal will start to work its way around.
1, we would have 2 samples with the hair-like substance and scat-like material contained inside a sterilized sample tube. It would be labeled and sealed, and 2, we'd have 2 samples with the same materials placed into the same sterile sample tubes, but with lysis buffer added.
I only got to go like right there.
Samples were labeled, marked 1, 2, 3, and 4, as they were collected in sequence. Filmed by multiple cameras from multiple angles to assure a thorough viewing of the process start to finish. Once the samples were secure, the evidence bags were prepped. They had all the required information, including chain of custody. Then the evidence bags were sealed with the evidence tape that will delaminate if tampered with. Note: I did have to open the evidence bag back up and broke the seal because I had forgot to place a sample into one. It is filmed and resealed proper as my knowledge allows. Well, I'm not a scientist and I do not have a degree. And I encourage those qualified and or unqualified to point out my mistakes so that I can learn, improve in my collection techniques and processes. Thank you in advance. The samples were then placed into a 1-gallon freezer baggie that was left open, not to create moisture within, but able to provide protection from the water of melting ice that was in my cooler. I set the bag with the samples inside on top of a plastic 2-gallon water container that laid flat on its side, providing a table of sorts for the samples to stay cool inside my cooler. It was a struggle to keep the samples cool and dry and protected from the 90-degree temperatures for the remaining 2 days. The flight home was what my concern. The flight home was what concerned me the most. When I thought of mailing them back home, but chose to place the samples deep into my suitcase marked evidence. At home, the samples were found safe and sound in the exact location that I had placed them. I then set the samples in my refrigerator where they reside currently. Next was the searching for the information that may lead to the identification of our collected samples. Setting at the computer, I entered the description of the sample as I was best able to do so. As I searched, I was led to the genus of fungi called Phycomyces. 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 Then, following the information that best matched the substance discovered, 2 species of Phycomyces appeared to be the closest visual representation of what was collected on July 7th, 2024. After reading Fungal Biology Volume 119, Issue 2, pages 1007 through 1021, Diversity, Ecology, and Evolution in Phycomyces, I learned that Phycomyces, a genus of fungi, are not typically known as the first colonizers of black bear scat. The primary colonizers of animal scat, including that of the black bears, are usually bacteria and other microorganisms that begin the decomposition process. Fungi, including various species, often fall as secondary decomposers, breaking down the more complex organic materials. Brainstorming the possibilities of what this organic material that we found could be led to a broader field of information, such as 1. It's possible that the particles are the result of the black bear self-grooming, which hair might have been ingested, or 2. From a recent kill. Bears often consume parts of their prey, including the fur, which can pass through their digestive system and appear in their scalp. Number 3, could have been the scat of any animal. There was not a large quantity that appeared to be smeared, and it appeared to be smeared like diarrhea. It may have been, it may have been a rotted carcass or a piece of carcass. With there being no confirmed facts or trace evidence leading me to confirm the substance is scat, I cannot confirm its origin at this time, and whether or not these samples qualify for further analysis, in my opinion, qualified professionals will need to observe the information within this video, make a general decision as to whether or not the unknown base samples that the Phycomyces blacksleyanus or nitens were growing out of is worthy of further analysis. I am not qualified to make this decision, but I am willing to participate, as I have done here, until my abilities reach their limits, at which point now they have. I do not expect these samples to be from our target subject because of how rare Sasquatch Bigfoot are, and finding trace evidence of such a rare mammal, if it even exists, seems nearly impossible to do due to their rarity. The real value in this particular find was the educational opportunity explored into the world of fungi. And within this specific biosphere, it was very interesting. Although all natural isolates of Phycomyces look alike, they have been assigned to two species, Phycomyces blacksleyanus and Phycomyces nitens, on the basis of spore morphology and sexual interaction. Phycomyces is easily recognized by its giant sporagnogeospores, which grow out of the vegetative mycelium, lifting a large sporognum filled with vegetative spores. The mycelium are composed of branches, non-septate, multinucleate hyphae. Recognizing the tiny whitish dots that were present within the suggested scat skid was the identification I needed to determine the dark hair-like substance was that of Phycomyces, and not that of animal hair. I am glad that I had this experience. I learned many new things, and I will bring this new knowledge with me into the field. So to be better equipped with or when discovering similar substances, the time spent with friends in the field was undoubtedly the most valuable item collected, and in my opinion. And I want to say a special thank you to BRENT DILL for directing me to and sharing his research area. Brent, Jesse, and Trackway, thank you for your friendship. I had a great time, and this adventure will be remembered forever. Hope to get together again soon in the future. And God bless you all. Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks, Jonathan Rafferty.
I've filled out the evidence and chain of custody. I've also labeled these as well. And now we're gonna put the ones that I would send out. Number one, that's the best sample. This one was taken off the end of the stick that I kind of stuck in the poop while I had already had the hair on there, so it's got poop and hair. That one I want sent out. This one I'm going to keep for myself, and then the one that has the most material in it for the dry, which is this one, I'll send out, and I'll keep this one for myself. This is just dry, taken right off the stick, and I'm not putting any lysis buffer in there because realistically it's pretty much just hair, but it was all taken off of what looks like a diarrhea scat. a skid of diarrhea across the top of moss that either it ate something and this has hair in the scat, or this was some sort of a beard-like material, hairish fungus that is grown out of the scat, and that what appears to look like hair may only be fungus of some sort. Either way, you don't know until you get it tested, because I'm sure not qualified to do the testing. And those I will send off. I have filled out the chain of custody collected by Jonathan Rafferty. I think that's long gone, wherever it was. Goodness gracious.